Hello, guys. Welcome to another edition of Isco World, where we discuss about football and other related issues. In today's edition, we'll be discussing about some concluded signing and also the match review of game week 3 and see how each team actually performed in the course of the game week 3. Now, before we talk about the storyline of today's video, I want you to like the video, share, and also subscribe. Click the bell notification. That's the only way you can be notified when we drop a video. Now, let's talk about the signings that have taken place. Now, the first one is going to be for Chelsea. I believe all Chelsea fans will be excited to hear about this news that I actually want to bring to you. And that is, here we go. For who? Romelu Lukaku. Now, this guy is actually a virus in the house of Chelsea. They've been looking how they can be able to offload this guy because he's one of the biggest scam and the worst signing that indeed football in general has ever seen, because this signing is a big scam. Chelsea lost massively and they are just looking for a way to just let these guys go. Lukaku is more or less like a bone in their neck. They can't swallow it, so the best thing is to actually bring it out, and that's what they are trying to do. Well, let's go to what Fabrizio said. He said, Romelu Lukaku to AS Roma. Here we go. Agreement reached on loan deal valid until June 2024. Player will travel to Roma today. Salary coverage around 7.5 million euros, which is actually a cut with respect to what Lukaku is actually being paid in Chelsea, because Lukaku is receiving, if I'm not mistaken, roughly almost 15 million pounds. Now it's actually taking a cut of 7.5 million euros because Roma can actually afford that for 10 months. Now, the reason why it is 10 months is that Chelsea has paid the first 2 months. They've paid out of July and August, because just like you can see, August is almost gone. They've paid out of August, so Roma will start paying us from next month, September. That's the reason why it is 10 months. Loan fee higher than 5 million euros. Green light arrive also on player side. Done deal. Now, this is Lukaku accepting the reality, because this player is a player that keep destroying relationship in everywhere he goes. I believe that the only person that can salvage his career should be Mourinho. So definitely I'll be hoping that he did well in Roma, because I saw also in one of the news that Chelsea have put in 37 million pounds on his head as a release clause in case any team wants to get him. So what they need to do is just to trigger the release clause. So I actually wish him luck and hope that he bang a lot of goals for Roma. Now let's also talk about another player for that of Man City, and that's João Cancelo. João Cancelo to Roma. Here we go, according to Fabrizio Romano. He said Man City and Barcelona are finally exchanging documents right now to get the deal done. The deal signed today. João prepared to travel to Barcelona tonight. Loan deal with buy option clause included. It was just a matter of time. Now, this is one fantastic player that Man City had, and because of the fracas that he had between him and Pep. Pep Guardiola will always want to make you understand that he is the boss in the team. So any player that is not ready to do according to what he wants, he does not blink eye to let go of the player. I was thinking that he's going to stay in Bayern Munich, where he did his loan last season, but it was unfortunate that they weren't able to get the deal across. So kudos to Barcelona. They got a fine player in João Cancelo, because I see that this is actually a nice player. Now let's talk about, and also the transfer window will be ending this week. So we'll actually keep in touch to see if there's any blockbuster transfer that actually take place across the various teams in the course of this week. Definitely, you will get an update when we start getting those information. Now, let's talk about the match review of game week 3 for each of the team and see how each of the team actually performed in the course of the game. Now, the first game that took place for the match game 3 on Friday night is between Chelsea versus Luton Town. Now, this is a game that I predicted 2-0, and kudos to Chelsea. They actually surpassed that. They won 3-0, a comfortable victory for them, but they were not clinical. If they were clinical, this is actually a game whereby they would have been able to score more, but indeed, it's actually a good place to start. So we'll give it up for them. It's a 3 point that they've actually banked in there. Now, the next game we talked about is between Bournemouth versus Tottenham Hotspur. Now, Tottenham Hotspur, they are beginning to find their shape and life after Hurricane, and I think they are doing very, very well. Very well, considering the result that has been coming up for them. I will say kudos to Tottenham Hotspur. Don't be surprised. They can actually shock a lot of persons and end up in the Champions League spots, because if they continue in this progression, definitely they will hit their target, and I believe that's their target. And I think they will also want to do well and win any cup here title, either the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, just to make sure that that their no trophy syndrome is actually broken. But let's see how the season progresses. Now, against Bournemouth versus Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham was won that game by 2-0. I was thinking that the game would go for 3-1, but well, I got it spot on that Tottenham will win, and rightly they did so. So the next game we're going to talk about is between Arsenal and Fulham. Now, if you watch my review, you will see I said anything that has to do with derby match, don't be surprised, it's a tricky game, because derby games, this is actually where teams want to step up. And in the game, I predicted that Arsenal, they will have a slight edge with respect to their form, winning this game 2-1, but just like every other derby game, the game ended 2-2. It's a fantastic game from both sides, and I think Arsenal fans, they will feel bad with respect to this, because they were expecting to be able to get more out of this game. They were expecting to bank the 3 points, but it was so unfortunate that Fulham have to share the spoil of that game, and I believe that Arteta was the cause of the whole issue why they weren't able to. And let's hope that in the next game they can be able to do better. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is between Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest. Now, this was a game that in the first 15 minutes, Nottingham Forest actually surprised and shocked every person, winning the game by 2-0. But due to the resolute nature of Ten Hag and his team, they were able to fight back and get the win. They won that game 3-2. Kudos to Manchester United for that resolute performance. This is actually the kind of performance that a team will put up that is ready to fight for something meaningful in the course of the season. So kudos to Manchester United for that. I predicted the game 1-1, but Manchester United actually, they were like, no, we aren't going to share the spoil. Kudos to them. The next one we're going to talk about is between Everton and Wolves. Now, I was expecting that this is the game whereby Everton should be able to pick their first point, because I predicted this game to end it 1-1. But it was so unfortunate that Wolves banked the 3 point. Wolves won this game by 1-0. And if Everton are not careful, the kind of performance they are putting now is the performance that will actually take them to relegation. So they have to watch out for that. They have some days left in the course of the transfer window to be able to do some and strengthen the team. The next one we'll talk about is between Brentford versus Crystal Palace. This is also another derby game. I said in the course of the preview that Brentford is going to have a slight edge. Hence, I predicted this game to end 2-1. But just like derby, the game ended 1-1. So kudos to both teams for sharing the spoil of that game. Now, the next one is between Brighton versus West Ham United. Now, this was a game that I was expecting a lot of goals, which actually did. So I predicted the game to go in favor of Brighton 3-2. But West Ham won the game 3-1. And West Ham is one team that I think that did fantastically well in the course of this transfer window, because they sold their captain Declan Rice for £100 million. And if you see the way they spent that money, they spent it very, very well. So I would say a very kudos to whoever that is responsible in structuring this for West Ham United. They signed Ward Prowse, they signed Alvarez, and they also recently signed Kudos. So kudos to West Ham United for that. I think that their team is well fortified to go for Europa League, and also to see how they can be able to move a step further in the Premier League in the course of this season. Now the next one is between Burnley versus Aston Villa. Now Burnley, I was expecting them to do more compared to what they did. I predicted the game to end 2-2, but Aston Villa smashed Burnley 3-1. And I think that Burnley have to go back to the drawing table and see how they can be able to work on their defense. This is not Championship whereby they smashed it last season. This is Premier League where big boys play. So if you want to continue, I'm talking this to Vincent Kompany, if you want to continue in that first attacking phase and flair you'll be playing, ensure that your defense is stable, because the way they are leaking goes now, it may come back to bite them in the course of the season. But let's see how the season goes. Now the next one is between Sheffield United versus Manchester City. Now this was a one-way traffic game I predicted. That's why in my prediction I said Manchester City is going to win this game by 3-0. But just like every Premier League game, there is no weak team, because when you think that this team is weak, that's when they tend to give you a shocker. And Manchester City, they were fortunate to win this game by 2-1. This is actually the only team that has expressed 100% winning record since the Premier League kickoff. That's to tell you that Guardiola is not ready to sit on the treble they won last season. He is actually putting more pressure on the boys to say, see, this is a new season, a new a target that was set. So whatever we won last season, let's keep it last season and see how we can be able to go for it this season. But left with me, I don't want Manchester City to win the league this season, because it's more or less like Guardiola is turning EPL to the French league or the Serie A, whereby at the time it was, although Serie A have actually break out from that, but the French league every season is also PSG. So the next game we're going to talk about is between Newcastle United versus Liverpool. Now I predicted this game to be end 3-3, and Newcastle they fumble, but I would say a very big, massive congratulations to Liverpool. Now they were so resolute, and from 10 men down with 1 goal down, I was expecting, and also playing in St. James Park, I was expecting Newcastle to be able to bang the 3 points in the course of the game, but complacency crept in as the game go on. And one thing I say is that whenever a team is winning 1-0, it is not done deal, because anything can happen. 1-0 is actually a very a slim victory, not until the ref blow the final whistle. 1-0 can actually be say you'll be saying that you are comfortable. They were missing a lot of chances, and they were being complacent, giving so many balls. But kudos to Liverpool that they put in a very massive, rugged, dogged performance, and they were able to pick the 3 points. A very beautiful goals from Nunez. I believe that in the next game, this guy has actually make a case for himself to Jurgen Klopp that, see, I'm actually ready to start. So I believe in the next game, he's going to be in the starting lineup for the game. But big, massive congratulations to Liverpool for winning this game 2-1. So this is actually a rundown of all the scores. Score of match game week 3. So I want you to actually drop your comments and tell me if you think your team did well, and also tell me which team do you think that surprised you most in the course of the match game 3. So your comment is actually needed. Click the bell notification, thumbs up, and also subscribe. Come on, let's go.